Is this good, Dan?
Yeah.
Oh, you're muted.
No, I'm not. So yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, very good. It's too funny. Well, listen, guys, thank you all very much for joining us this morning for our continuing leadership development series. Judy Feldhausen and I have been doing this now for a long time, for over a year. We have today the law of timing, and then we will have two more in the webinar series, the law of explosive growth and the law of legacy, and those two will be on the horizon. We will actually be hosting this webinar again next Saturday morning, and we'll talk about the law of explosive growth as defined by John Maxwell. So we're looking forward to that as well. But today we want to talk a little bit about timing, and it's funny that Judy had a little struggle getting on the call this morning. Bad timing on her part, I think, but bless her heart. She and I have been working on this through the course of the week, and we've had conversations and back and forth a little bit with our emails and such. And she was kind of going to handle a little bit this introduction this morning. But what she wanted to talk about is the importance of timing. You know, when we were first introduced to Synergy Worldwide and when we were brand new team members, we talked a lot about trends and timing. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. Judy, are you there?
I am. Thank you so much. Internet problems this morning.
Yeah, no problem. We're just barely getting started. I mentioned that we have a couple more of these in the series, a couple more of these webinars, but if you'd like to go ahead and address the law of timing, this very first slide, that'd be wonderful.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody. Please accept my apologies for my late arrival today. It's so fun being in the mountains, and it's a beautiful day here in Colorado. Unfortunately, the internet doesn't feel the same way. So, and talk about timing. So this is really a great thing to talk about because timing is so important. And we're going to get into some of the things that make up good timing and bad timing later on in the webinar. And you will perhaps understand a little bit more about how the best time is so important. And this is one of the best times for Synergy Worldwide. And really, we really want to talk about timing for Synergy Worldwide. As distributors, it's so important to be able to grow our business and to get customers and to spread the word that when we take responsibility for our health, amazing things happen. And you know, Dan Higginson really talks about timing and trends. Almost every time we hear him, he talks about timing and trends. And as in the last 20 years, Synergy is now going to be 20 years old, the trend has increased every single year with health. And I was looking up some statistics as I was preparing for the webinar. And you know that currently, not just the health and wellness industry, but I specifically drilled down into the supplement industry, which is vitamins, herbs, and amino acids. That's how they categorize this industry. And of course, we know that Arginine Plus is an amino acid, right? But when you look at the dollars of the industry in today's dollars, we are looking at $130.2 billion industry. That's just, to me, mind-boggling. $130.2 billion. And if you look at the trends, and we want to look at trends, where is this going? Are we going to get better? Are we going to stagnate? Are we going to lose ground because, oh gosh, you know, the industry is saturated? I used to hear that all the time in the cosmetic industry. When I was in the cosmetic industry, oh, the industry is saturated. It's, you know, it's not going to get any better, which of course it did. And in the supplement industry, in the year 2024, it is projected to double. Can you imagine? Double in 5 years, up to $260 billion. So guys, if you're on this webinar, if you're listening to this webinar, you have to know that the timing is perfect. It is a wonderful time to be in this industry. Now, there are some other things that you need to do to take advantage of this timing, of these trends, and we're really going to get into that today. Isn't that right, Bob?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And as you were sharing those thoughts this morning, I thought about when I was in high school. I graduated from high school in 1970. And in 1969, I got a job working for a little store in Ventura, California called Kaiser's Nutrition Center. My sister worked there. They had, the store had a bar, a juice bar. There were 11 stools and the blenders were up on the counter, but it was a juice bar. You know, we made fresh orange juice and carrot juice and all kinds of blended drinks and whatnot. But at that time, in 1969, that was an unheard of trend. There weren't juice bars or anywhere back then in 1969. And I used to think how far ahead of the curve this company is to be mindful of this and to put this kind of thing into play, this kind of a business. It was really cool. It was really fun to be a part of that clear back in 1969, Judy.
That's awesome, Bob. And that's exactly where we are with Paragenine Plus, and even more so with our microbiome product. We just got out a blog. They found a lot of more microbiome strata in the gut, a brand new discovery. So where we are positioned in synergy with the future of this company, it's mind-boggling. If we take advantage of it, there's no reason why we can't succeed.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Yeah, so we really want to talk about, when to lead is important. Taking advantage of those statistics of that trend is important, but it's really just as important as what we do with that information that we are really blessed with. Synergy is doing so much research. The Hughes Center for Research and Development doing that research for us, giving us these statistics, guiding us where to go in our business. And with the support of Dane and Dan and the team, really, it's just the perfect time.
Well, I absolutely agree, and the whole industry is just rock solid. I know Bobby Smith always used to say that Paragenine Plus in particular as a supplement is bulletproof. And I thought that's a good way to explain the product, because nitric oxide therapy simply works. I had to go in, I've had a problem with my shoulder. I've mentioned this before. I've got some bone spurs, but now my shoulder's starting to freeze up. So I've got to go to physical therapy. They gave me a cortisone shot in my shoulder. But when I went in yesterday morning for physical therapy, the first thing they did was to check my blood pressure. And the therapist said to me, "Now, Bob, what does your blood pressure normally run?" Now, there was a time when my blood pressure normally ran about 160 over 90 or 95 constantly, forever, for years. And I told him my blood pressure runs about 122 over 72 most of the time. Took my blood pressure, that's exactly what it was. He goes, "Oh, you're spot on, that's exactly what it is." I'm 67, so I know that the products that we market, 10 years into this thing, Judy, and I'm still using this product every single day. And so we know that what we're doing is forward-looking and forward-moving. But we wanted to mention this morning a little bit about leadership, and that sometimes leadership doesn't work out so well. So we're going to look for just a minute at this slide. It says Katrina, and of course we're talking here about the Hurricane Katrina. Most of you, I think, are aware of the hurricane that took place back in '05 and hit New Orleans so hard. I'm not sure, maybe everybody understands this, but the city of New Orleans is below sea level, 6 to 9 feet below sea level, and that land has been sinking a little bit every year. It's a little bit below sea level. But on August 24th, it was a Wednesday, you know, the National Weather Service indicated that, boy, there's a really bad storm on the horizon, and we need to be paying attention. That was on a Wednesday. And by Friday of that week, so a couple of days later, they were saying this is a big deal. This is a bad hurricane. Everybody in the region needs to be paying attention to it. And so on Saturday, so just a couple of days later, some of the parishes, the areas around New Orleans, ordered mandatory evacuations. You know, those were some of the areas around New Orleans, but New Orleans is actually lower than some of the surrounding parishes are. So, but no mandatory evacuations. On Sunday, well, let me kind of, I'll just share this. John Maxwell asks the questions, what about New Orleans? Now here they are, they've got this horrendous hurricane coming in. And he said, why didn't Mayor Ray Nogin, the leader of the city, order a mandatory evacuation at that time, at the same time? Many people say New Orleans are fatalistic and they can't be made to move any faster than they want to go. But a lot of people were saying that he's a businessman and he was a little bit worried about legal and financial things of that nature. The bottom line is that when to lead is as important as what to do and where to go, as we read in that previous slide. The time to move the people out of New Orleans was when the other parishes were moving. Just terrible leadership, that's the bottom line. And when he finally did order a mandatory evacuation, it was really milquetoast. You know, he said, look, if you can't get out of the city, go to the Superdome, which was no help at all. But he had made no provision at the Superdome. So the leadership was too late, and it was way too little. They'd made no mess. He told the people that when they came, if they couldn't do anything else, get there, but they had to bring their own food, enough food to last 3 to 5 days. They're to bring blankets and pillows and et cetera, tell them it's going to be kind of like a camping trip, you know, but they needed to bring their own stuff. So no preparation made for those folks. So we're looking at some really poor that went on there. And it wasn't much, well, it wasn't any better with the federal government. They too were way behind the ball. And on finally the following Thursday, I think it was, the Red Cross requested permission to take water, food, and supplies into the people, but they were denied by the Louisiana Office of Homeland Security for some reason. All those people were hanging out there in the Superdome. People were still sitting on the roofs of their houses, and the Louisiana Homeland Security said, no, you can't come in yet. Just bizarre. But it was just, the bottom line is just that it was timing, really poor timing, and really poor leadership. In the end, more than 1,836 people died as a result of that hurricane. Think about that. That's nearly 2,000 people died because of this poor leadership and poor timing. 1,577 of those people were from Louisiana. So the bottom line, you know, if they'd paid a better attention, not only to what they did, but also when they did it, a lot more lives would have been saved. It's just bad leadership and bad timing. Judy, do you have a thought?
Well, absolutely, Bob. You are so right. And it's not just what we do, it's when we do it. You know, they finally did get the help in there, but it was just a little bit after the fact. So when we're looking at timing as
enough after the fact that people died.
Right.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, that's no problem. And it's so true. The outcome could have been different if the timing had been a little bit more consistent with what to do and when to do it. And there are some things that when you're looking at timing that we have to be cognizant of. And these 7 things that are important is something for us to look inward and see if we maintain and contain these 7 issues on ourselves to decide if the timing is right for us to move forward. So if you'd like to move that slide up a little bit, Bob.
Yeah, I'll do that. You know, I was thinking too, Judy, as you were sharing that thought, a number of years ago, we had about 800 young, and I mean, we were all spread out. It was a really neat camp on a really nice, it's just beautiful. It's in Montana. But in the middle of the night, there was a lightning strike. We had a big storm coming in, and I'm telling you what, it set the mountain on fire. And within a matter of just hours, we could see those flames coming down through one of those canyons towards where we were with all those girls and all their equipment, tents and all that stuff. It was a frightening moment, but we just organized. We got all the girls together in one spot. The men all went over and started tearing all the camp down. They had a really fun little meeting with the girls, calmed everybody down, and we got everyone out of there safe and sound. It's just kind of the opposite of the Katrina thing. We were organized and paid attention, and we moved forward with decisiveness. Makes the difference.
It makes a difference. So on that note, we really have to understand what's going on and look at all the possible potential things that could happen and really know, do we have a grasp of the situation like you did with those girls on the forest fire, Bob, and what the mayor of New Orleans did not have when he talked about Katrina, a grasp of the situation, really, what is going on here? What happened in the past and what's happening in the future? Where are we right now that is going to affect the timing, affect the outcome?
Yeah, you know, and sometimes, Judy, in our synergy businesses, we'll have a team member who's struggling with something for one reason or another, and oftentimes we're not sure what that is. But these are people who we love and care about. These people in our downline, they're part of our team. And when that happens, it's really important that we be paying attention to those individuals who we work with and who we have a responsibility for. Pay attention. Do we understand what's going on in their life? All of a sudden, they're not there for some reason, or, you know, you've heard a rumor or whatever. And as a good leader, don't let too much time go by, excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the next part is maturity. And early on in my network marketing career, I actually heard a phrase that has stuck with me. And that is we FM. And we is WIIFM. And it was, look at the person you're talking to and see this sign around their neck. And what this stands for is what's in it for me, not what's in it for myself. I'm not wearing that sign. The sign that I'm looking at is about the person that I'm helping, that is my customer, that is my team member. And that really helped me when it came to maturity. What are my motives? Are my motives about getting more CV on my tracking center 1? Or is my motives about getting a bonus because I need a new team member? Or is my motive looking at the person that I'm talking to, finding out what their needs are, what their timing is, and not my own? And just that little sign around their neck, I know, helped me gauge whether I was doing it for me or if I was doing it for them. And it made a difference in my business.
You know, Judy, this is a perfect thing to talk about right now, too. As synergy distributors, we have, when we sponsor someone, they become a team member. So we have a responsibility to take care of them, correct? I mean, that's part of what we need to do. And so you have someone and they want to become a distributor, they want to become a part of our team, and it's April 28th. Do you sign them up on April 28th at the end of the month? Or do you say that, and even though maybe you need that volume right then and there, or that extra $24.95, whatever, $25 fee, what are your motives? You know, or do you look at that person and say, you know what, it's the end of the month. If you wait a couple of more days and we sign you up at the beginning of May, then you'll have made that initial order. You can get elite rebates for the balance of the month on all the product that you order. That kind of a thing, that kind of maturity in your business pays off in dividends. It really does.
And that actually goes hand in hand with confidence, Bob, because
Well,
we need to have the confidence, right, to know when the timing is right.
Yeah.
So yesterday, I got a new customer. His name is Terry. He sounds like an awesome guy from Long Beach, California. And after he ordered, he started asking me questions about the business. And, you know, is this network marketing? I'm familiar with network marketing. You know, if I joined, that's what he said. If I joined, that's how he started his sentence that way. And we talked, but, you know, I was not about to go and say, you got to sign up now, because he knew nothing about the company. He knew nothing about the comp plan. And I felt it would be a disservice to him, push him to become a team member. So what I did is I sent him some information, and we're just going to chat further. He hasn't even tried the product yet. So for me, I feel that they have to have a good grasp of Pro-Arginine Plus before they really jump into what becoming a distributor is. So we're just going to take it at the right time. I really have that confidence to know that it will be the right time when it's really his time, and he's understanding and is really ready for becoming a synergy distributor.
Well, you're wise, Judy. That confidence is important in other respects as well. I had a friend one time who approached me about, the question he asked me was, what's this snake oil you're selling? That was a question he asked. And, you know, the thing is the guy that asked me that question was Dr. Bergman, who was the head administrator at the National Institute of Health, Rocky Mountain Research Laboratory in Hamilton, Montana, Dr. Bergman. And he and I were close friends. And I remember I kind of slipped an arm around him. I said, let's visit. Let me share with you what I've discovered, and talk to him about Ignaro and his research, etc. But I had the confidence in the product and what I was doing enough that I could look at the head of the NIH and share with him about nitric oxide therapy. That kind of confidence is extremely important. You know, but you also have to be, in this kind of a business, you have to be decisive. You know, we look at the screen. Can you initiate action with confidence and win people's trust? When I was first looking at this thought process, the first person I thought of was Janice Smith. Janice always talked about needing to maintain your integrity. If it was a telephone call that was 30 minutes long, you need to be decisive. You need to maintain the integrity of the call, to stay strong, to be confident, to be wise, to stay the course. I've always found that to be not just important, but just good counsel for any of us, Judy.
And it really is a good measure of leadership. You know, it's interesting. Day before yesterday, my son-in-law ended up in the emergency room, and his wife, my daughter, was at school and she could not be there. So my husband and I took him to the emergency room, and as they're bringing him into the emergency room, they asked him, do you want your mother and father-in-law there? And I actually didn't give him a chance to answer. He was in no way capable of answering at that point decisively. And I said, yes, he doesn't have a choice. We will be there with him. And the nurse looked at me and she said, I like the way you think. And she said, yeah, come on back. And from that point on, they spoke to me as if I was the leader and I was making decisions for my son-in-law. And there was no doubt that, I made that decision and they abided by that decision that I made.
As a mother-in-law, you have to learn when to be that aggressive and when not to be. So you're a wise mother-in-law to do that the way you did. But again, you have experience, right? You've drawn upon the life experience that has led you to that point. I love here where it says that or the question, have you drawn upon wisdom from others to inform your strategy? And that's so important. We talk about having mentors in this business, don't we? We often say, look to your upline, have these mentors to help you along the way. And if you don't have a particular experience, you don't have a certain empathy that you need in order to help your team, draw upon the wisdom of others that do have. Be humble enough to do that, to apply then good principles and to be open to learning. Judy?
Yeah, that's so true. And we are so fortunate in being under the wisdom of Dane Org to have that leadership and that experience that we can draw upon and each other, which is absolutely important. But we also need to have that gut instinct. Isn't that true, Bob?
Well, I think so too. And that's part of that, part of intuition, I think, is having that gut instinct. I learned a long time ago to pay attention to what Bonnie has to say. I've been married for a very long time, and her perception of things is different than my perception because I'm a man and she's a woman. We just think differently. But intuition can save your bacon. You just have this gut feeling. I need to move in a certain direction. I need to make this phone call. I need to talk to this person. I need to make an adjustment. When you have those kinds of, there's a gut-brain connection there. And when you have those kinds of certain feelings, I think you should pay attention to them, Judy.
Yes, and act on them. How many times, just thinking of yourself and everyone on this webinar, how many times has the phone rung or you've called somebody and they say, I was just thinking about you, when in reality you probably haven't talked in a month or two, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think it's cool. And I think oftentimes we miss those opportunities because we don't act on them. I've often thought that if we don't act on the things that we feel, these gut feelings, these intuitions, this prompting of the spirit or whatever it is, I think it begins to fade because we lose the capacity, we lose the sensitivity to it if we don't act on it. That's just my thought.
And absolutely, and I believe the opposite is true. If you start acting upon them, it becomes stronger.
Right, yeah, it's almost like the law of, oh gosh, my mind went completely blank. Anyway, but preparation, I wanted to mention preparation as well this morning. We've got this on our slide here. Have you done everything you must to set up your team for success? Preparation is hugely significant. Maybe not so much when you're just sitting at home at your desk and working through some of the, just some of the logistics of your day. But if you're going to be doing an event or working with people, you need to prepare. You want to have the answers before the questions get asked, I think. Having done some big symposiums for our company back in the day, and it's been a long time, but I was pulling people in from all over the world for a couple of those Spokane symposiums, and I really had to think through every single thing. I made trips from Western Montana into Spokane, Washington, just so I could walk through the facility and get a clear sense of movement from room to room for, room setup and audio and everything else that was involved, catering for a couple hundred people, that kind of thing. That preparation is hugely significant. Planning things out, trying to foresee problems. You know, it's just good leadership. The law of abundance is what I miss there, Judy, under intuition. Anyway, back to you.
Awesome. And Bob, and I also believe that it is part of preparing for your day that will make the difference. You know, we talked about the 21-day challenge. Preparing for your day is going to make such a difference in creating those good habits, so that we have the ability to someday have a huge symposium and be totally in charge of all the aspects of that. But it starts with that small daily habit that can actually improve through time. And when we're talking about time, we want to look at this grid here. And some of us are very visual learners. So I really like how John Maxwell put this grid in the book to very simply say, where am I in this decision? Is this the wrong action at the wrong time? Will this lead to disaster? So on I-470 here in Colorado, the other day, there was a tanker truck that flipped over, and the tanker truck burst into flames. Now, it was, he made an error, and his action made that tanker truck flip over. It was the wrong action. It was the wrong time for it to happen. And what did that lead to? It led to disaster. What are we doing in our business that we are not paying attention to? We're not looking at the action. We're not looking at the time, and it leads to disaster. But I would like to just flip over to the right-hand side to end my story here about the right action at the right time. Because unbeknownst to this gentleman who was in basically a burning truck, and is thinking that he's going to die, what happened was there happened to be an ambulance several cars behind that was leaving from the hospital. It was empty. The paramedics actually saw the truck roll over, went over to that, and saved this gentleman within seconds of the entire tanker actually erupting. Those paramedics had the right action at the right time, and it led to success. And the truck driver was not harmed, basically with just a few bruises. Just, you think it would be a miracle, but when we look at results of timing, this is such a good example.
Oh, it is. It's touching. You know, I think it's important for all of us to remember that during the course of our lives, we're going to make the wrong action sometimes at the wrong time. It's just life. All of these on this grid, sometimes the wrong action at the right time, whatever. There's going to be resistance. We're going to make mistakes. And sometimes we're going to hit a home run. It's a part of life. But we want to focus on trying to do the right thing at the right time. And if we can do that, it's really going to help to launch our businesses moving forward. When to talk to people, when not to talk to people, you know, knowing what to do. Do I want this person to be a customer? Would they make a good distributor, a good team member in that sense? What's the best thing for them as an individual? You know, what's the best thing for my team? You know, I've called people up before talking to, because I think you're going to be a better sponsor for this person than I would be, and here's why I think that. Well, that's one of those maturity things that you learn as you go into business, but that's the right kind of action to take, and hopefully when you make that kind of a decision, the individuals involved are successful as they go forward as well. So yeah, right action, right time, it's a big deal. And Judy, we're really kind of, it's time for some questions. Now we're sort of running out of time here. We've gone over just a little bit.
That's right. It is the right action for the right time.
It's your fault. You got questions. Right? So anybody has some questions for us this morning? Thoughts?
You'll have to unmute yourself if you want to talk, because most of the people are muted.
You know, I think that was a cow I heard in the background there just now.
I have deer in the backyard, no cows.
Good morning. Good morning. It's Donald.
Hi,
Hey,
Donald.
I'm still in Barbados, and there are no cows around. So
No
it's not,
cows. Okay.
however, I want to share a story. And it's my brother. I was due to head back to New York. Ever since a couple of weeks ago. I've been here now. This is 6 weeks. But my brother, he had a PSA test done on the 4th of March. And then he went to get to schedule the appointment to get further tests done. To give him an appointment of January 2020. And I said to him, why so long? Because his results was elevated. I mean, the range is 0.4, and he got a result of 28.2. So he's just said, I'll wait to take the appointment in January. So he said, no, you're not. I'm going to go with you to the doctor, and let's see if we can drop that date. So I went with him. What day was it this week? I think it was Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday. And she said, yeah, you can't wait this long. Let's schedule this appointment. And she made the appointment. She called the doctor who's going to look and see the situation, and drew that date up, because the secretary or whomever was scheduling the appointment, she just gave him a date without or the next available date, not realizing the elevated status of his result. So sometimes being on the spot can you can get into the head of the individual and let them know that it's not okay to accept what is given to you.
Yeah.
So he's got a sooner date, and I'm looking forward to good results.
Well, you're a great brother to look out for him, Donald. An elevated PSA count that high is going to require some take some biopsies and some further, because you're moving into that serious potential for cancer at that juncture. So you're a good brother to pay attention to that. But you're right. Sometimes you look at the time frame and think, whose idea was this? So good for you, Judy. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, Don, I'm so happy that you made that call, and you used several of those 7 steps, that 7 characteristics that we talked about. You understood. You were decisive. You had the experience. You're in the industry. You know what that means. So you took advantage of that knowledge and created the correct time.
Thank you. And I think he's grasped the seriousness of the situation, because his doctor said to him, you're lucky to have a brother. We like to see family support each other. I'm sure he got, in fact, he did indicate eventually he was glad that I was able to come along with him. Thanks.
That's
good
great.
Job. Yeah, good job. You're a good brother. Any other questions or thoughts before we close our webinar today? Well, okay, so next Saturday, Judy and I are going to be sharing the morning with you again. We're going to be talking about John Maxwell's law of explosive growth. we're looking forward to that. Judy and I will get our heads together during the week. It's been a little more challenging for Judy because she's in Denver, and you know how it is when you're traveling. Nothing is normal, if you will. But I'm looking forward to it, Judy. Looking forward to being with all of you next Saturday as well. So, Judy, any parting thoughts before we go?
Just thank you. I'm hoping that the simplicity of the law of timing really hits home, and we all start looking at the action and the time and make sure that we do the right thing at the right time for immediate success and, as we're going to find out, explosive growth.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Dan, do I need to do anything else here with regard to the screen for your recording?
No, I'll take care of the rest.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, Judy.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, everybody.
Talk to you guys later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.